Hello, everybody. That countdown was so cool. I loved that music. I'm sorry, my voice will probably not be able to compare. But welcome to the 2022 IXL conference. This is our fifth annual conference, and we're all super excited to have you. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy days to come and hear some motivational words from some incredible people. My name is Nolan Nordwall. I'm a second year CST student, as well as the current sitting chair of the School of Computing, and I'm honored to be able to give the introduction for the day. This conference is brought to you by the BCIT Student Association. That's where I work as the chair of computing. If you don't know much about us, we are a nonprofit and a charity, and we advocate on behalf of students and spearhead different programs to enhance student lives. We find that a lot of students don't know a lot about all the programs that we offer. So if you get some time, I strongly encourage you go to bcitsa.ca and just check out some of the awesome perks that you get as a BCIT student. So I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for this event. That's the BCIT Alumni Association, as well as HarborLink Container Services. HarborLink has been providing transportation and shipping services across the Pacific Northwest since 1988. And the BCIT Alumni Association is made up of passionate past students at BCIT who've decided to give back to the community and stay in touch after graduation, and they all opt in. The fact that students continue to give money back to BCIT after they have already finished paying their tuition always amazes me, but it really helps out a ton. So thank you both so much for your contributions to make this event possible. To kickstart our event, I'd like to invite Carleen Thomas, a local elder for the Coast Salish community, to share a welcome message with us all.
Thank you, Nolan. O CM I Tanishkwalawan, Quetsi Quetnala Ihui, and Ansachalot, and the Mana Santalia e Quetslahotziam, and the Emet Quethan Sachalot, Quetslahotziam, Equet Squistimotoch, Equet Halat, Hai Sepka, Ami Sepquitwilam, E Homathquium, E Spohotmish, E Stawatatama. So what I said to you in the very teeny tiny bit of my language that I know called Hunkmitlam or Downriver Hulkamilam, I said, my respected ones, the feelings I have inside, I feel really good to see you and to be with you here this evening. And in Coast Salish way, I introduce myself to you with my ancestral name. I carry the name Ansachalot. It doesn't have any meaning per se, except that it belonged to my 5 times great-grandmother. And my paternal grandmother gave it to me when I was a much, much younger woman. In Coast Salish way, I also shared a little bit of my family tree. We do that for many reasons, but the most important is that it informs you, the audience, that I know who I am. I know where I come from. And as a Walmochta, as a grandmother, I carry that responsibility a lot more dearly these days. So my parents are Deanna George and the late hereditary chief Ernie George, or Iggy, as his friends called him. My paternal grandparents, both sets of my grandparents have passed on. My paternal grandparents are the late hereditary chief John L. George and the late Lillian, or Dolly George, as her friends called her. For a real long time, I didn't share my maternal grandparents. And I guess just before I became a grandmother, I started, feeling really awful about that because my grandmothers were the most important figures in the formation of my young life. And so after some pondering, I came to the conclusion that, it was this colonial system that was forced upon us. And they took all the Indians and put them on reserves, drew a border around them and put a label on us. And so it set us against each other, through fighting over resources, fighting over funding, and just it really divided us, and it made us fight each other. So in my own humble way of healing myself and my community, I gratefully acknowledge and deeply respectfully acknowledge my maternal grandparents as the late Stan Joseph from the Squamish Nation, and my late grandmother was Caroline Nee Thomas, Nee Joseph, Nee Trimble, and she comes from Snuneymuxw, from Nanaimo, and from Kincolith, Niskat, um, little Niskat village up in the Nass Valley. Raising my hands as a gesture of welcome here in Coast Salish territory. Hi, it's Sepka, thanking all of you. Ami Sepwitwilam, welcoming you here to the homelands and waters of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people. Most importantly, to let you know I am from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. Tsleil-Waututh in our language means people of the inlet, refers directly to the Burrard Inlet, including the inner harbor, the outer harbor, all the way up to the Indian Arm, including the Indian River. And I appreciate BCIT Student Association for reaching out and asking for a protocol welcome. I think it's important because as you move forward in your, gathering your knowledge, earning your degrees or certificates or what have you, it's important that when you leave this place or even being in this place at BCIT in Burnaby, I'm not sure if there are other campuses or where you're streaming live from, but get to know the local Indigenous peoples where you are. We've been in a time of reconciliation. We understand that there's so much happening in Indian country that it's important that you understand that and that your relationship with just a knowledge of the Indigenous peoples of Canada is so important. We need to be able to embrace those challenges, as is the title of your conference. It's a real challenge to unlearn the colonial system, the colonial rhetoric that you've learned, or maybe you didn't learn anything. But it's important that for you to know that we are still here and we are ready, willing, and able to go forward in creating a better British Columbia, a better Canada, but we need to be working together. So, with that, I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And again, thank you for allowing me a few minutes. Hey, Awith, see you later.
Thank you so much for that, Carlene. Thank you for coming to talk to us and for welcoming us. Um, a lot of what you said resonated with me, and there are a lot of hard truths that we have to face as a post-colonial society. Um, Important among those is the fact that the land that we live on isn't ours, and it's really important to continue asking ourselves what that means. Sometimes the answer to that question isn't always very clear, but personally, I find that continuing to acknowledge that fact and ask ourselves what it means can lead to a more empathetic character. So, this year's conference is focused, as Carlene said, on overcoming challenges and directing your future. Our keynote, Darren Jacklin, will be sharing with us how we can transform obstacles into opportunities. Darren Jacklin had an incredible journey. He grew up with a learning disability, barely passed high school, lived on the streets, and has had several suicide attempts. From a place of hopelessness, he's now a corporate trainer, world-class speaker, and successful investor. He's trained over 1 million people in 48 countries and more than 150 Fortune 500 companies. He's the author of the book Until I Become, a memoir of his life that takes you through his journey of despondency to success, the agency that you can gain when you persevere, and the power of hope that can be achieved when somebody believes in you. A particular excerpt that really resonated with me reads as follows: Never regret a day in your life. Good days give happiness, bad days give experience, worst days give lessons, and best days give memories. Until I Become will be available for purchase through a link in the chat, and you can type any questions that you have for Darren in chat during his talk. He'll be answering questions during the Q&A period. So, without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Darren Jacklin.
Well, thank you so much, Nolan, and thank you so much, Carlene, who's just left us. And I'm very honored and very grateful to be here. I actually live in Vancouver, but tonight I'm actually coming from Phoenix, Arizona, USA. I'm here on business and pleasure. You can tell why I've got a little bit of sun being here in Phoenix the last week. And I'm just grateful. I just want to, first of all, acknowledge each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy life, qualifying your time, protect your time to be here. Today in the time that we have, which will be relatively short, 90 minutes or so, or a little bit longer, I think will be very impactful, but also life transformative. I'm a very practical, results-oriented person. I'm going to share with you a lot of practical information during this conversation today. I'm used to being in live audiences with people, but tonight I'll be presenting via video conference here, which I'm grateful to be doing. You may want to grab a pen or a pencil or take some notes, and you may want to minimize or eliminate any distractions you've got in your environment around you. Time is going to go by very quickly, but it's going to be very impactful. I'm going to unpack, decades of experience of adversities, failures, challenges, mistakes, and opportunities. And if you take this, what you're going to discover tonight, it's like gold. Okay. I've spent over $1 million of my own money over the last 30 years in train development programs. So I'm going to deliver over $1 million of the value tonight. And then it's up to you to take it and apply it consistently in your life. And so I'm going to share with you some very, very powerful things. So just quickly, Nolan shared a little bit about my backstory, and I'll just unpack a little bit more just to give you some more context and some more detail. I'm going to give you a 3-step process. Step number 1 is my backstory. Step number 2 is my come up story or comeback story. And then step number 3 will be my success story. And so I'll share with you a little bit about my background, where my come up story, and then where I am today in terms of currently where I am with my group of companies, my portfolio of investments, and then my family foundation for global philanthropy of what we're doing. And then the things that we do all over the planet in many different countries and continents and time zones, and all the grateful men and women, the teams that I have around the world that work with me as I'm the visionary, leading a very successful group of companies of what we're doing. So a little bit about my past, my backstory, just to give you some context. I grew up in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Canada. I failed grade 1 of public school and was misdiagnosed with a learning disability and a reading disability. And so I was determined that I wouldn't amount to much. So in grade 1, after I failed grade 1 of public school, I was put into what we call special education classes. So I was in special ed. I was also labeled retarded because I just didn't function like a normal kid in school. It was a very uncomfortable, very unfamiliar environment for me being in a school system. I had a lot of energy. It was hard for me to sit at a desk and conform. And so I was put into special education classes. And what happened was I didn't feel there's anything wrong with me. And so when I was 7 years of age, if you can imagine just going back a few years in your life, being 7 years of age, or some of you may have children or grandchildren, nieces or nephews that are 7 years of age, I created my first business at age 7 in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Canada, called Rent-A-Kid. And I would go out and solve problems in my neighborhood, in my community in Swift Current by looking at who's got my money. Because if I had money and I solved a problem or provided a service or some value as a fair means of exchange, of giving and receiving, then I could go out and buy a new bike, or I could buy a new lawnmower, or I could go to the candy store at the 7-Eleven and buy some candy. And so at 7 years of age, I was going out knocking on doors in my neighborhood, solving problems, right? Which we call opportunity zones. And I'm going to share with you later today in terms of mindset, in terms of focus and strategy about what we call opportunity zones. Because I'm going to show you after today, you're not going to look at the world the same way ever again. You're going to learn how to turn a crisis into an opportunity. A crisis is a blessing in disguise. When I turn on a television and I watch the news media, I get really, really excited. Okay. When people are complaining about things, I get really, really excited because I see opportunity zones. I see opportunities of ways to monetize and create multiple revenue streams. Because to me, it's about making a difference and solving a problem. So I'm 7 years old, created my Rent-A-Kid business, out there hustling, knocking on doors, making contact with people in my community. By age 9, I'm hiring my best friends in my neighborhood to come work with me. Now, their parents are excited because we're out there solving a problem. We're serving our community. We're making money. We're not getting in trouble. We're growing and developing through our work experience. And I'm 49 years of age today. And those two friends, when I was age 9, we're still great friends to this day. We still communicate a few times a year. And it's a great, great experience. I struggled to go throughout junior high school, and then I struggled in high school. And in grade 11, I was taken out of class one day by a guidance counselor and a school teacher. They brought me into the guidance counselor's office in grade 11, and they said, Darren, what do you plan to do with your life if you graduate from high school, from grade 12, if you graduate? And I said, I want to build a lot of companies. I want to travel the world. I want to make a lot of money. I want to have a lot of fun, and I want to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. That's what I want to do. I want to make a lot of money, want to have a lot of fun, and I want to travel the world. And money was never the motivator for me. I just wanted freedom. I didn't want to be told what to do. I wanted to go to bed when I'm tired. I want to wake up when I'm done sleeping, and I want to do that consistently in my life. I want to be able to live life on my own terms, go wherever I want, however I want, with whoever I want, whenever I want. But I get to be the decision maker on that factor. And it was just freedom for me. And some of you, I can't see you right now, but you can probably relate to me that you want freedom in your life. You don't want to be told what to do. You want to live life on your own terms. Well, I'm going to share with you tonight, if you unpack what I share with you today and you take notes and you apply it, you will, over the next period of time in your life, be able to live life on your own terms. Because I'm going to share with you today information that you go out and get the top degrees at the top universities in the world and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is great. But I'm going to share with you some very practical stuff tonight that you can apply. And I've had a chance to have my own lab over the last 25 years of training, developing over 1 million people. I have an 8-figure net worth. I'm financially independent in my life today. I've also had a chance, in terms of my come up story, to do some incredible things. I've had a chance to work with a number of billionaires, a number of celebrities, royal family members. I've had a chance to go to New York City not once, but twice, and ring the closing bell at NASDAQ. And later this year, in a few months, I'll be going back to New York City again for the 3rd time and ringing the closing bell at NASDAQ for the 3rd time. I've helped take one of the companies I'm involved with from a startup to a multi-billion-dollar company that has 75,000 people in 19 countries on 5 continents and is publicly traded today on NASDAQ and is the fastest growing residential real estate company here on planet Earth. And in fact, just to give you some numbers, because numbers don't lie, people do, we onboard a new licensed residential real estate agent every 4 minutes out of the 19 countries. Every 4 minutes, we recruit or onboard a new real estate agent to one of the companies I've been involved with since it was a startup. Today it has 75,000 people. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. So I know what it's like to go from startup to a napkin to a small group of us in a room with big goals and big dreams, and the world is calling us crazy. We've got no money. We got no money. We can't pay our bills on time. We're building the airplane as we're flying it. And we don't know if we're going to be in business 30, 60, 90 days from now and keep the doors open and the lights on. And today we're a multi-billion-dollar company. And so that's one of my successes. And so the key thing, that's the come up story. And the success story really is, today I am involved in multiple different companies. I serve on paid boards of directors of public and private companies in real estate, in artificial intelligence, in cybersecurity. I own a number of different companies that I'm a partner in, either active or passive, in the accounting industry, cybersecurity, real estate. I have a real estate portfolio of single family homes, car washes, you name it. Now, some of you might think, okay, wait a second, there's only 24 hours in a day. How do you do this, man? Like, come on, I'm just trying to work my job, and how do you do this and have a family and keep the lights on? So in my life, it's about creating teams and teamwork. And one of the things you'll discover in my book called Until I Become, I wrote this book. I spent $100,000 US dollars, 100 grand. I hired a team. It took me 10 months last year during COVID, during the lockdown. And I had no interest in ever writing a book. To me, it was boring, not wasting my time. But I did it because I was in lockdown. And Tatiana, my partner, my life, love of my life, she's got 3 academic degrees from the top universities in Canada. She was a high school teacher in Vancouver for 35 years. Very, very successful in the education world. I retired her a few years ago. She's my CEO, runs my group of companies today in terms of day-to-day operations as my integrator. But if it wasn't for Tatiana, the book never would have got born and birthed. But I'm grateful because I want to pay it forward and pass it on as a legacy. So if you have a chance to order a copy or get a copy, read it. It's less than 100 pages. You can read the book in a few hours, but you'll spend the next few years going back and reflecting and reviewing on that book, because there's so much content in that book that's written. My intention was to over deliver and provide massive value, because really what's in it for me was not the money. I spent $100,000 US on the book. For me, what's in it for me was to collect the stories. My love language, if some of you have ever read the book called The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, it's a New York Times bestselling book called The 5 Love Languages. It's a must-read book if you're going to be in the business of working with people in jobs, you want to get promoted, you want to be in a successful relationship, have great kids or great family. It's called The 5 Love Languages. You can just Google it. It's a great, great book. It's been around for a number of years. But my number one love language is acts of service. So I love to be in service to people. So I want you to start taking some notes, write some things down as we unpack this. So backstory, come up story, success story. Today I'm involved in a number of different companies. We have our own family foundation, Tatiana and That's called Link Foundation, Leaders Yielding to New Knowledge. We built our first school over in Liberia, West Africa, which is in the top 5 poorest countries on planet Earth. And Tetya and I have committed $100 million. Just think about for a moment, $100 million over the next decade towards global philanthropy. We've committed $100 million. We've committed it. We're master planning it. We've got a board of directors. We've got an advisory board, and we've committed $100 million. So I'm going to share with you tonight, no matter how big you think, I'm going to challenge you that you're thinking way too small and you're fighting for your limitations. Because friends of mine that I'm around think $100 million, we won't do it in 10 years. We'll do it in about 6 years. So I've got a bet on right now with some people. But I'm going to share with you that, I used to struggle financially. I was on welfare. I was homeless. I've eaten my next meal out of a garbage dumpster. I've had my car repossessed. I've had my bank account frozen. I went many years ago, completely out of integrity. In fact, I had no integrity, full disclosure, in my 20s and 30s. I had no integrity. Today, I live by integrity, because without integrity, nothing works. And nobody will work in our group of companies or organizations. If you don't have integrity, you will not be accepted in our organization. You'll be terminated very quickly. That's one of our core principles. Without integrity, nothing works, because there's no workability. And to write things down, you can write this down. Time will either promote you or time will expose you. It's just a matter of time. I get asked all the time, hey, Darren, what do you think about this person? What do you think about this idea? What do you think about this opportunity? And we'll do our discovery process or our due diligence. And I'll say, well, time will either promote this person or time is going to expose this person. It's just a matter of time whether they get promoted or get exposed. So I only get involved in opportunity zones or involved with people where over time, over the next few days, few weeks, few months, a few years, a few decades, we're going to get promoted, not get exposed. So I have a very tight inner circle. I have a team of women around me that have very strong intuition. It's really dialed up. And I have a great vetting process of people around me, because we use an analogy in our group of companies and what we do, that when we invite somebody new into our circle or into our different companies, and let's say, for example, we have the group of companies and we're all having a great big pool party someplace, and we're having a really, really great time. And one person decides to pee or urinate in the swimming pool. Well, because of health reasons, everybody got to get out of the pool and you ruin the experience. So we're always on guard. We're always cautious of every time somebody gets introduced to us, who's going to be the new person that's going to pee in the pool. And so we're very mindful and very watchful. And that's why some things, when you're around wealthy people or rich people or affluent people or really successful people, or sometimes you see different social media influencers on the internet, and you're like, man, this man or woman does never connect with me, doesn't return my calls, or I send them instant messages or I DM them, they never respond to me. Because what they're doing, if it's not them directly or their people, is that never assume you're not being observed. You see, you're always being watched and observed. If I was in front of you right now and I could see you in front of me, I'd be watching, observing you, and taking notes of who you are in terms of your behavior. Are you leaning forward? Are you taking notes? Are you on time? Because I'm testing your integrity. I'm integrity testing. I'm watching, observing you. Why? Because behavior never lies. Behavior never lies. Behavior never lies. And so consider this for a moment. If we look up into the sky and we see the International Space Station, and these men and women are up in the International Space Station, and they're looking down onto planet Earth out the window of the International Space Station, and they're looking down at all the human beings on the planet, right? This beautiful planet called planet Earth, and we're looking at all the human beings. If we were to look and map out all the human beings, this is something I'd like you to write down and remember for the rest of your life. This will change your life, your mindset tonight. All we are, so as human beings, all we are is a network of conversations. We are a network of conversations. Just think about that. If you're on social media, if you're chatting or text messaging with people, you're DMing people, we're a network of conversations. So I'm going to share with you that anything that you really, 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 really want in your life is going to come from having conversations with strangers. I'm a great case study of that. It's going to come from having conversations with strangers. Strangers have everything you want, everything you need, and everything you desire in your life. In fact, I'm going to share with you, you don't have to make any money. You could sit at home and play video games and not make $1. But one thing, you don't have to go out and make money. And by the way, this is the way I live my life today. I stay at the nicest resorts, the nicest hotels, like where I am right now in Phoenix. I'm here. Why? Because people have got my money. I've got access to decision makers and influential people and networkers. Why? Because it's not what you know, it's who you know, it's who you got access to. Okay? So if you're looking for a job, you're looking to raise money, you're looking to date somebody, you're looking for a promotion, right? You're looking to start a new company or an invention or idea, whatever it is, it's about a network of conversations because proximity is power. Proximity is power. Proximity is power. Remember that for the rest of your life, that proximity is power because we're a network of conversations. So anything you and I want in our lives is going to come from having conversations with strangers. And I'm going to share with you some specific language and specific questions you're going to ask people, strangers, the next Uber driver, the next person you meet on an airplane or a shopping center or a grocery store or a movie theater, wherever you go, because you don't know who the next person that you interact with is a conversation with a stranger, what opportunity zones are going to get created, what doors of possibilities are going to get opened up. But you see, we have to overcome something. And that's part of our childhood programming. Because when I was a child, I was taught, don't talk to strangers. We live in a world today where parents want to protect their kids at all costs because of what they see in their environments and news media. But I'm here to share with you, anything you really, really, really want in your life is going to come from strangers. Strangers are everything you want, need, and desire in your life. Now, it comes down to this. Two things. You want to write these down. Making requests is number one. Step number one is making requests. And step number two is personal promises. So step number one is requests. And step number two is personal promises. So let me unpack this for you. Step number one is requests. Okay. So for every question that you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So when I checked in here to this resort here last week, I made a request at the front desk if I get an upgrade, complimentary upgrade. Today I'm in a complimentary upgrade, complimentary. I also asked that if I stay for a week, would I be able to get a discount? And they honored my, so here's the thing. When I made the request for a complimentary upgrade, you're going to love this. They're only going to do one of three things, only one of three responses. Step number one is they'll accept my request. They'll accept my request. That's step number one. Step number two is they'll decline my request. They'll decline my request. They'll decline it. So step number one is to accept my request. Step number two is to decline my request. And step number three is to counter offer my request. So step number one, accept it. Step number two, decline it. And step number three is to counter offer it. But for every question that you don't ask or every request that you don't make, the answer is always no. So I want to invite you to, just like you go to a gym and build some muscles, I want you to start building the muscle through a network of conversations by talking to strangers. Because strangers have everything you want, need, and you desire in your life. I'm always talking to strangers. Now, you might say, Darren, it's my personality style. No, I'm actually more of an introvert. I don't energize being with people. I get drained being around people. If you ask me what's one of the most important things I'll do in my life is being alone, spending time by myself. I love being by myself. While I'm here on the road right now, you're not going to have my staff, my team stay with me. They meet with me, but I like being myself. Even though I'm in a great relationship with Tatiana, I still like my alone time, my cave time, because it's where I'm most highly productive and functional. And then I can get on my Zoom calls, my conference calls, and my briefings and debriefings with my teams around the world. And I can collaborate with them through a collective intelligence and have conversations and delegate responsibility, maintain control, and then measure everything through our key performance indicators. I can do all that, but I like to spend time by myself. So I'm going to invite you starting today, if you're willing to take this on as a bonus opportunity. Now, it's a bonus opportunity. Why? Because most people aren't going to do it. Most people want to live average lives. I'm here to share with you. If you're on this call right now, you've spent time and money and energy to be here. You've put in your calendar, you're qualifying your time. As a bonus opportunity, take advantage of it. Just do it for 7 days. Just for 7 days. Just go meet 100 people in the next 7 days. Now, let me share something with you. Full disclosure, right? All cards on the table. When I was a kid, I really struggled because I had a learning disability and a reading disability. I was labeled retarded, mentally retarded. I was in special education. So I had a lot of negative self-talk. I had very low self-esteem. I had a very low self-image of myself. I didn't have much going for me. I didn't have much confidence. My escape was cutting grass, shoveling sidewalks, delivering newspapers, and going out and solving problems in my neighborhood. So what I used to do when I got into my hormones, my teenage years, and I wanted to meet girls, and I wanted to start interacting with girls in junior high and high school, I had to overcome my self-image challenges, my self-confidence, my negative self-talk. Well, how did I do that? I took 10 Canadian pennies secretly, and I used to put 10 Canadian pennies in my left jean pocket. And every time I said a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, a hello, a hi, or I said a compliment or acknowledgement or some recognition to a girl, I would take secretly that 1 penny and transfer it to my right pocket in my jeans. And the game I played, I'm going to teach you how to play games tonight. Play games your life. We play lots of games in our group of companies in our family foundation. We play games all the time. And the game was to transfer 10 pennies from my left pocket of my jeans to my right pocket of my jeans. And if I didn't transfer 10 pennies by the end of the day, I had to go to the 7-Eleven. I had to go to a convenience store. I had to go to a Denny's restaurant. I had to go around my community and just engage in a network of conversations with strangers so I could win the game every day. Because here's the thing, and you'll learn this and discover this in my book. And I'd like you to write this down. Whatever you lack in skill, you make it up in numbers. Whatever you lack in skill, you make it up in numbers. So if you don't like cold calling or prospecting or networking or recruiting, or you get uncomfortable or anxious talking to strangers, whatever you lack in skill, you make it up in numbers. So when I was a young kid, I had very low self-confidence, very poor self-image, a lot of negative self-talk. I went and knocked on a lot of doors in my neighborhood because whatever I lacked in skill, I made it up in numbers. And that's the key thing. And you metric all this. I have an Apple Watch that I wear. And every day I play a game with my Apple Watch in terms of my daily habits and my daily routines of my physical fitness. 60 minutes a day of health and vitality, of working out, exercising. So I metric everything. Why? Because numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, but people lie. But numbers don't lie, right? Numbers tell a story. So I metric everything. It's very, very important. And it comes down to, your health and fitness, your financial net worth, things in your life, and in my teenage years and 20s and 30s, I was not intimate, or I had no financial awareness, financial intelligence. I didn't care about numbers. I sucked as a kid in school with math. So what did I do today in my life? I'm a partner in a national accounting firm here in the United States called Profitopia. I have a team of CPAs and bookkeepers and tax people all across America that work with me, and some offshore internationally. And so what do I do today? When I got to deal with numbers and buying a company through a merger or an acquisition, or I'm doing something, I just delegate it off to those people. They're smarter than me. By the way, I'm the dumbest guy in any group. I just hire smart people. That's what I do. See, I create teams and teamwork. That's the key thing. Because a lot of times people, when you have a job, and it's nothing wrong with the job. I've had jobs before in the past. I just don't make a good employee because I don't like being told what to do. Right. I like to create my own path, my own journey. Now, some people, we have lots of staff that work with us that they get paid every 2 weeks. And I can show you some great tips on how to increase productivity and morale and collaboration and camaraderie and inspiration and motivation within companies and cultures. We've done a great job with that. We've helped take a company from startup to 75,000 people in 19 countries on 5 continents. It's a multi-billion-dollar company today. And we onboard somebody every 4 minutes. So that kind of gives you some numbers that what I'm sharing with you is not a bunch of kumbaya. It's measurable, right? Because numbers tell a story. 75,000 people, 19 countries, 5 continents, multi-billion-dollar company, onboard a new agent every 4 minutes. We got a good thing called attraction factor going on here right now. We're attracting top talented people. And that's just one of multiple companies I'm involved with. So I love what I do and do what I love every day. And so what I want you to also consider too, and I'd like you to write this down. This is just going to blow some of your minds right now. I wish we could do a brain scan because this is going to just, through all my hardships and adversities and challenges, and I've had some sleepless nights and some stressful nights, eat my next meal out of a garbage dumpster, waking up the next morning, my utilities getting cut off, my car repossessed, bank accounts frozen, collection agencies, creditors call me. It got even so bad in my 20s that creditors didn't call me anymore. They used to make phone calls, and then they started making home calls. They come knock on my door and say, you owe me money. So I've had those. Some of you may have some bill collectors or don't have a good credit rating. Listen, I used to have an R9 credit rating. Okay. I had the worst case scenario credit score you can get today. And today I'm financially independent and I'm a multimillionaire. I'm a decamillionaire today. So I've got my money right. Okay. Now I didn't have my money right till my 40s. I dedicated my 40s. I'll be 50 here in about 6 months. But, I dedicated my 40s to financial education and financial wealth and getting my money right because I was completely out of integrity with my money. So my 40s, the last almost 10 years of my life, was dedicated towards financial independence. And I'm grateful I've achieved a great level of success and financial wealth. And why? Because my wealth, my financial wealth, is going to be given to our Foundation for Global Philanthropy with a 250-year legacy plan. Yes, we're master planning a 250-year legacy plan. We say, well, how do you do that? Well, I have some mentors in my life that are 15 generations. And their family trusts go back to the year 1485. I have another friend of mine over in Dubai. He has his family. They have a family business that's been around for over 600 years in operation. Think about that for a moment. Most people in North America on this continent, they say, yeah, I have a, my company's 10 years old or 20 years old. It's nothing compared to some countries around the world and some families around the world. Imagine a family of 600 years, their family. Now it's changed forms, but they're still the same product. It's olive oil. They're in the olive oil business. Okay. So great people around you. So here's what I'd like you to write down. Most of your goals and dreams do not require your actions. Now I want you to sit with this for a moment because some of you might blow off your chair. Most of your goals and dreams do not require your action. You're never going to hear this probably from anywhere else because I learned this through a lot of adversities, a lot of failures, which is great feedback, and a lot of mistakes and a lot of challenges and a lot of pain because I was doing things all wrong. Because you see, I was taught this. I was taught to work my freaking butt off and then go out there and hustle and climb the corporate ladder. Go out and get a job and climb the corporate ladder. Here's something I want to share with you. And I want you to think about what I'm going to share with you for a moment. Success is not something you go out in the world to pursue. Success is not something you go out in the world to pursue. Success is something you attract into your life by the person that you become. I'll repeat that again because some of you are writing this down. Success is not something you go out in the world to pursue. Success is something you attract into your life by the person that you become. I have focused on myself from the inside out of becoming a more attractive person. Why do I have so many opportunities? Why do I have staff who just say no to people for me? Because we get bombarded with hundreds of opportunity zones a month. And I have to have people on my team to vet those opportunities as part of the discovery duties and say no, because it's not where our strategic roadmap is of where we're going this month or this quarter. Okay. Success is not something you go out in the world to pursue. Success is something you attract into your life by the person that you become. So you want to become an attractive person. So remember we talked about earlier about requests and promises? Step number one is request. You make a request because for every question you don't ask, the answer is no. And when you make a request, people will either do step number one, they'll accept the request. Step number two is they'll decline the request. Or step number three is they'll counter offer the request. Well, the next part is promises, personal promises. Let me ask you a question. If I ask you right now, what is it you really, 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 really want in your life? Could you produce a document to show me your top 10 goals or dreams for your life for this year? Could you produce physical evidence and verify it? I have with me everywhere I go. I carry my personal promises. I have it laminated. I carry them with me. And every morning in my journal, I hand write out. This is my journal. I carry these. I order many of these copies. I get them off Amazon. You can take a picture if you like. You can order off Amazon or a bookstore. You can get it. But I have a whole bunch of these at home. And I order them for the next few years of my life. And I travel with them. I handwrite out every day of my life is a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable daily habit. I'm going to share something with you. If you study successful people, because success leaves clues. Success leads, if you study successful men, could be in finance, could be in relationships, could be arts, entertainment, could be in the sciences, could be engineering, could be accounting, could be, you pick any industry, could be in the movie industry, you pick any industry, could be in sports. Right? I was just the other day, just with a gentleman who plays in the NFL. Just last week, I was with him, had lunch and dinner with him. Okay. So I was on today, a call earlier today with a family office in Florida that manages professional athletes in the NFL, National Football League, or what we call it, not for long, because the average lifespan of a professional athlete in the National Football League is 2.5 to 3 years. Most of them come out financially broke. So the thing is, in your life, when you look at this, is requests and promises is, I want you to think about what is it you really, really, really want in your life. Because, and I want you to do a survey. See, I travel the world all the time. I'm here this week in Phoenix, Arizona, USA. Last week I was in Sarasota, Florida. I'm home in Vancouver next week for a few days, and I'm off to Mexico for a week, working with some people down there with one of our companies, with people. Then I'm back for a couple of days, and I'm in California. Now, I love what I do. And some people would rather be home every night, like my partner, Tatiana. She went home last night because she misses our little dog. I love traveling. Now, that's high on my value list. For some people, they don't want to travel. Now, here's what I do. Many years ago, I started asking myself a question. And here's something I want you to consider. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. So if we went into right now and I did a screen share and I went into Google and I typed in, why am I stupid? And did a search on Google, up will come pages of why I'm stupid. If I go to Google and type in why am I a genius and hit search, up will come, supplements and vitamins and things like that, and maybe some test or some book or something like that of why I'm a genius. So the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions we ask ourselves. So some of you, if you want to travel, I invite you just to consider this as an opportunity or as a bonus opportunity, is rather than saying, well, how do I save up money to be able to financially afford a vacation or to travel? Or how do I collect enough aero mile points or aeroplan points so someday I can earn a trip somewhere? See, that's one way of thinking that way. And you'll struggle and you'll be frustrated for the rest of your life, because I used to do that years ago. Here's what I invite you to consider doing is ask yourself this question: how do I get paid to travel? See, every day I say to myself, how do I am so happy and grateful. I am so happy and grateful that I get paid to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. I am so happy and grateful that I get paid to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. And I say that I practice in front of the mirror. I do this when I'm in the shower. I am so happy and grateful I get paid to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. Today, I've been to 50 countries on 4 continents, and my intention is to be in 150 countries. COVID slowed me down a little bit. I would have been in another 20 countries over the last couple of years, but I get paid to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. Some of you might say, hey, I get paid handsomely to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. I get paid handsomely to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. So you say it over and over and over again through repetition until your cells tingle and you start to believe it. Just like when you lie to yourself, the more you lie to yourself, the more you start to believe it. I know that. I had a master's degree in that stuff because I used to lie to myself so much. I had low self-image, couldn't look you in the eye, couldn't shake your hand properly, all that kind of stuff, until I took training through Toastmasters International and Dale Carnegie programs, which totally transformed my life, and then getting mentors and coaches and joining mastermind groups of people around me over the last several years of my life. And that's part of where I spent $1 million of my own money over the last 30 years in training development programs. So most of your goals do not require your actions. Most of your goals and dreams do not require your actions. They require teams and teamwork. So we talked about requests and promises. So what you do is you figure out this week, what is it you really, really, really want in your life? And you write it down. See, most people have no written goals. So they have no direction. They have no focus. When I interview people on teams, I always ask people, what is it you really want in your life? Well, I want a relationship. I want to have a family. I want to really lose some weight. Okay. It's not specific. It's not measurable, and it's not actionable. So therefore, it's not attainable. It's got to be specific. It's got to be measurable. It's got to be actionable, and therefore it's attainable. Specific, measurable, and actionable. If you say, hey, Darren, I want to be a millionaire by age 40, by this date, this time, this year. Now it's specific, measurable, and actionable. We can work back the dates in the calendar up until today. Then I can show you your daily habits, your daily actions, your daily routines, your weekly habits, your weekly routines, then your monthly, your quarterly, your semi-annually, your yearly. And then we can look back and we can metric everything. We can break it all down with what we call key performance indicators, KPIs, and NPS, which is called net promoter scores. Okay. We can do all that. We can metric all that. And you can get an accountability coach or an accountability buddy, him or her, and they can be your accountability, or you have an accountability team. And then you set up on your calendar. Now, here's something else. When I interact and meet people all over the world, and I get into a conversation, I ask them, what is it they really, really want in their lives? By the way, 9 out of 10 people, when you ask them, what is it you really, really want in your life? And I invite you to do this. 9 out of 10 people will consistently say the answer, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, then you have no direction, you have no focus. And how do you know what you really want in your life? Because what I do every day is I handwrite in my journal my top 10 personal promises in myself. Every day, I write in my journal my top 10 personal promises. It's a daily, non-negotiable habit. No matter where I am on the planet, no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on, it's a daily, non-negotiable habit. I want you to consider in your life, what are your daily non-negotiables? Some of you might want to build or in a great relationship right now with your spouse or partner or significant other. And maybe it's important that 1 or 2 days a month, you have a date night, right, with him or her. And so the way you honor that and you restore you keep your integrity and you commit to your commitments. I'd like you to write that down. Commit to your commitments. I challenge people all the time. I test people all the time in our companies. What you give your word to, okay? Because here's the thing to consider. When I was growing up, my word didn't mean anything. My word had no value, okay? My word is everything. So today, I was on time. In fact, I was early. Early to me is on time, and on time is late. So early to me is on time, and on time is late. So what I do is I live by my calendar, and I want to invite you to consider, if you don't have a calendar, you want to set up a calendar. There's lots of free calendars online. You can Google search that. You can still use a paper day timer calendar if you like. Everybody's got their own flavor of what they like for calendars. I live by my calendar. Two things: protect your time, qualify your time. Protect your time and qualify your time, because the more successful you become, the more time becomes more valuable. So you got to protect your time, you got to qualify your time. So when it comes to daily non-negotiables, you got to look at what are the things that you're not going to do. So every week in my journal, every Sunday is a weekly habit. It's in my calendar. It's a recurring calendar meeting. As I sit down and I journal in my calendar, what are the things that I'm not going to do this week? So I'm going to just eliminate them from my life. I'm going to delegate them. I'm going to automate them. I'm going to outsource them, but I'm not going to do them because they devalue my time. It's not the best and highest use of my time. Stop doing things. So what are things you stop doing? Things that you've been procrastinating on, things you've been putting off in your life. Just take a look at your life, right? Just look at what your life demonstrates, right? Because it's all over the place. Your life demonstrates that behavior never lies. I can spend a few minutes with somebody and tell just a few minutes by asking a couple of key questions. What is it they don't enjoy doing in their lives? What gives them most joy and fulfillment? I'm here doing this today because this gives me joy and fulfillment, and it juices me doing this. Why? Because the secret to living is giving. The secret to living is giving. Be a go-giver, not a go-getter. You see, a lot of times I used to in my own life, I'll share with you a story. Years ago, I was raising money for a startup company I was involved with, and I was flat broke financially. I was 2-3 months behind on paying my bills. My credit card's maxed out. My credit score sucked. I didn't have $200 Canadian cash in the bank account. I was down to nothing, like eating, at the dollar store eating itchy band noodles. Like, I'm serious. Like, I was flat freaking broke. Somebody bought my airline ticket, and I flew into a city. And I was supposed to go from the hotel to meet this gentleman who was a high net worth, an HNW, high net worth accredited investor. Well, I didn't have money for a taxi back then, and I didn't have money to take the bus. So I stayed on site at the Holiday Inn Hotel. And the reason why I was at the Holiday Inn Hotel is because they had a free continental breakfast the next morning for registered guests only. So what I did is I lied, and I called up the gentleman, the high net worth investor, the accredited investor. And I said, listen, something's come up. I can't get from the hotel to your office. I would need you, if you don't mind, to drive from your office to the hotel. I was flat broke. I didn't want to tell him that, so I lied. Gentleman came to the hotel, was not happy by that because it changed his schedule. He came to the hotel, and I snuck him in at the Holiday Inn. I snuck him in to the registered guests only. And there's signs over on the wall of this little continental breakfast area in the hotel by the lobby, by the front desk. I stuck him in there. I said, whatever you want, I'm buying breakfast. Lied to him. What are you going to buy him breakfast? It's free continental breakfast for registered guests only. So what I did was, and I'm going to share with you a big mistake I did that freaking blew up. And I'll share with you right now, if you're going to raise money sometime in your life, you're going to be part of a team to raise capital. You may have a startup company. You may have an invention or idea, or maybe you watch Shark Tank or Dragon, like, hey, I got something, I need to raise money. I'm going to share with you right now, if you don't learn this lesson, it's going to cost you a lot of time, effort, energy, and years off your life. Okay? Because this is like a 2x4 hit me over the head. So I'm sitting with this gentleman, and I had him for a short period of time. So I had to pitch and sell him, right? Like a timeshare salesman. I had to pitch and sell. So here I am hustling, grinding, pitching and selling. And I start lunging this guy about why he needs to invest in this startup company and write me a check before he leaves today for $50,000. Okay, because I don't want him to leave until he writes me a check for $50,000. Because I got to talk to my other partners because we're flat broke. We need somebody to stay in the game. And if we don't get the 50 grand, we're going to be out of business in a very short period of time. We have a very short runway because we have no contingency, no cash reserves. We're building the airplanes, we're flying it. So what I did was I just lunged into my presentation, pitching and selling this guy. This guy looks at me a few minutes into the presentation as I'm pitching and selling. And he goes, Darren, can you just stop for a moment and shut up and stop talking? And I'm like, whoa, like punch me in the face. And he goes, you know what? He says, you're desperate right now. And you've got like commission breath. And I can tell right now that you're desperate. And I'm like, what do you mean? Of course, my ego, I'm cocky, I'm arrogant. What do you mean I'm desperate? I've got a startup company. We're going to make a big thing happen. We're going to succeed. We're going to build $1 billion company. We're going to do all these things. Kumbaya, right? All this stuff, rah stuff. And I'm trying to sell. Guy looks at me and goes, let's deal first of all with your integrity, because you have no integrity. I said, what do you mean I have no integrity? I'm a man of my integrity. I grew up with good family values. He's like, you snuck me into this hotel. I'm eating in this restaurant. By the way, he didn't eat anything. He had a glass of water. He just snuck me into this hotel, and it says registered guests only around here on the signs on the wall. I'm not a registered guest. And he goes, I bet you don't even have enough money for a taxi cab ride or the bus to go to my office. And that's why I'm here today. And he goes, I'm going to share something with you, Darren, because I see a lot of my younger self in you. Otherwise, right now, I'd be running out this door. You'd never see me again. I'd never return a phone call or an email back to you again. And I'd ask you to lose my number. And he said, Darren, stop pitching and selling successful people and start to educate and inform them. Start to educate and inform them. Okay? Start educating and informing people. And that's the key thing, is you want to start educating and informing people. So you stop pitching and selling and start educating and informing people. So if you have an idea or you have a concept or you have a business or you want to raise money, start to educate and inform people by being prepared, being organized, having a team, knowing your numbers, doing your market research, having a business plan, having a strategic roadmap. And if you can't do the numbers, then have somebody on your team do numbers. If you can't do a strategic roadmap or plan, have somebody else do that. Don't do it all by yourself. Okay? Create a team. So, something else I want you to consider. In your life, whatever you really, really want to do in your life, if you really want to do it, if you don't structure it into your calendar, it does not exist into your life. If you do not structure it into your calendar, it does not exist into your life. Everything in my calendar for tomorrow is actually on my phone in my alarms for tomorrow. Everything in my calendar, if I open my phone up right now, all my alarms are in there. So what happens is I set my alarms a few minutes before each appointment. Why? Because early is on time and on time is late. Why? Because it's the power of your words. See, most people, if you just focus tomorrow when you wake up during the waking hours of your day, of what do you give your word to? See, most people, and the reason why I struggle with my self-confidence and my self-image, because I kept on breaking my personal promises to myself. I would say, I'm going to do my laundry today. I'm going to clean up my bathroom. I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to go out and do grocery shopping. I'm going to pay some bills. And I'm like, something else better comes up. I don't want to make my bed. I don't want to do my laundry. I don't want to take the garbage and recycling out. Other things would come up that are higher priority that I didn't want to do. So I put off and procrastinate and put these things off. And every time I broke my promises, I would diminish my self-worth and self-image and self-confidence of myself. So I invite you to consider in your life, is it what you give your word to? Here's something I want you to think about. We hear in business that people say talk is cheap. You'll hear that a lot in business. People say, talk is cheap. I think we go a step further. Talk is cheap, but most people cheapen their talk. They cheapen their talk because their words have no power. So I want you just tomorrow, as you wake up and you go about your day, just notice what you give your word to yourself, what you say to yourself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out. I'm going to release some weight. I'm not going to eat this junk food. I'm not going to watch this television. I'm not going to surf the internet and get distracted. I'm going to, whatever it is. Just notice what you give your word to with yourself, your own self-talk. And then notice the conversations that you're having with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people around you in your environment. Notice what you say, and do you actually follow through on it? I'll give you an example. A few months ago, just before Christmas time in December, I was invited to do something like this on a Zoom video conferencing. And 5 minutes before we were to come on, I went onto the Zoom video conferencing. And what happened was Zoom video had to do some security updates. And I'm like, okay. So it goes through the security updates, and it took more than 5 minutes to do this. So what happened was I ended up coming in to the conference a few minutes late. And then the master of ceremonies, what happened was as the Zoom was doing this, I went to my mobile phone. I didn't know the gentleman who was introducing me. I wasn't introduced to him beforehand. They had changed. But what I did is I had an email address. So to manage my integrity, I sent an email address, just letting them know there's a breakdown in my communication. I'm going to be logging on late. Zoom's doing some updates. But he was inviting everybody into the Zoom room, so he didn't see my incoming email. So I came in a couple minutes late. He automatically goes into my biography to introduce me. And I stop him as he starts to introduce me. I said, can we just pause for a moment? He goes, oh, no, just let me introduce you. I said, no, I need to stop. We need to stop and reset everything. I said, I need to restore my integrity because right now there's no integrity at my end. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I need in this space right now on this virtual conference, on this Zoom room, there's no integrity. Integrity's out. And I need to stop everything, look at everybody in the boxes on Zoom. I need to restore my integrity and acknowledge and apologize and make it right, then recommit to my integrity. I need to acknowledge, apologize, make it right, and recommit. And so I did that. And I was uncomfortable, but I did what's right because I committed to my commitment. That without integrity, nothing works. Now, some of you say, well, what's the point? Why would you do that? Because in people's minds that were in the Zoom room, in the back of their mind, what's going on is this person unreliable. They may put me on a pedestal and they put themselves in the pit. And they're thinking, okay, this person's coming in, he's achieved all this stuff, perseverance in his life. He's here to train me. He doesn't even respect me. He's disrespectful. He may come across as arrogant or cocky. I don't mean anything to him. Why is he here? And he's unreliable. So what I did is I restored my integrity, reset everything so we could begin the training development. And I want to invite you through the modeling I'm sharing with you today is think about in your life, perseverance, where in the last few days of your life that you've put your self-integrity out. One of the things that when I train people and we talk about financial, because remember, I was flat broke financially. I lived on welfare for a period of time, didn't pay my bills on time, had an R9 credit rating, and I got to where I am today with an 8-figure financial net worth going to 100 million. Then going to give it away to my foundation for global health. And I might even go past 100 million. But the thing was in my life was I had to look at 50. So what I do is I always share with people, I want you to look at 50 things of where you're out of integrity in your life. Now, most people are not going to do this. This is a bonus opportunity. But if you take a piece of paper or a journal or diary and you just sit down and you start number 50 and count down to number 1, where am I out of integrity in my life? Now, if you say, I'm not out of integrity, if you're married and you have a spouse or partner, something other, sit down and ask him or her, hey, where do you think I'm out of integrity? What's my blind spots about where I'm out of integrity? And be open to the feedback. Don't get triggered. Don't get upset. Don't react. Just sit in the storm and just say, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, because they're going to come at you. If they're being truthfully and authentic and honest with you and putting the cards on the table, they'll come at you. And by the way, I do this with my core inner circle, my team. I do this on a frequent basis. Why? Because the bigger the game you want to play in your life, the more you can be in and out of integrity. Okay? So it's very, very important. So one of the things I want you to think about also is to schedule thinking time in your calendar throughout the week. So every Sunday I sit down and I do a week ahead. So I look at my schedule, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I look at all the things that are highest priority activities in my life. I put them into my calendar and I color code them. That's what I do for my life. And then I fill everything else around that. But the most important activities, the most important things I want to accomplish or get done, what I gave my word to, my commitments, I schedule in my calendar. Then I also look at too, just like an airline pilot. If we're flying from Vancouver to Toronto on Air Canada or WestJet Airlines, we get our flight plan. We're going through our checklist, right? We're talking air traffic control. We're looking at the weather. We look at contingency plans of just in case scenario planning, right? Best case scenario, likely case scenario, worst possible case scenarios. So what I do is I always look at my life a week in advance of what are all the possible things that can go wrong this week. And then I start to speculate and I start to scenario plan different things. So if I have back-to-back, like tonight, for example, I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm using Wi-Fi internet. So I went to the hotel earlier today and asked, what's the speed connection of internet? I got some lights here in the hotel room. So I made sure I got an extra bulb just in case one of the bulbs goes out and affects the broadcast. See, most people don't think this way, but I'm a high performer. And if you want to play at a high performance level, then you got to pay attention to small little details. Because here's the key thing. One of the things that I did to build a very successful corporate training business for 25 years of my life, all over the world in 48 countries, trained over 1 million people, some of the biggest corporations in the world, is companies, when you go speak to a decision maker in a major corporation, they're doing 95% of things right in their company. What I do is I'd always show the 5%, called the 95-5 principle. What are the 5 things, the 5% that they're not seeing that's a blind spot that could affect and enhance and increase the bottom line? So what I always look at when I meet somebody, and last week I was with a bunch of celebrities, and these people are, little standoffish when I went there. I'm like, hey, I just want to acknowledge you. You know, you're a major social media influencer. You got millions of people following you. Listen, you know what? I just want to share something with you, open some feedback. I want to share with you a blind spot. See, I made a bunch of phone calls to a bunch of people who know this person very well, who made the introduction. I said, what's not working? What's the 5% that he's missing out on? And I sat there for a couple of minutes and I got his attention. I said, this is the 5%. And he's like, oh man, I never even saw that. Man, a completely blind spot. Thank you so much for mitigating potential risks and liability. Boom. Today, he's a friend of me. You know, he's a contact. I've got his cell phone, his direct information. People spend thousands of dollars to get access to the guy. I got his mobile number. I can have him on speed dial if I want. Why? Because I came from a mindset of building relationship equity first and building a relationship with him. Now, that's the key thing. A lot of times on social media, when you meet people, you reach out to people of influence or decision makers, you start pitching and selling them, right? You start trying to get them to raising money, or you want to recruit them or get them to join some opportunity or like something or comment on something. They don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. It's transactional versus relational. And when you're transactional, people of influence just delete you. You're a dime a dozen. So you want to come across as relational. So one of the key things you want to look at is this. 2 questions I ask every day. And this morning I sent out 53 text messages. Right? I have almost 50,000 people on my mobile phone. I have a small little city in Canada in my phone. I've been collecting names and phone numbers for years. First question is, how can I serve you? So when I meet a stranger, because all we are is a network of conversations, I always ask a stranger, you know, would it be okay if I ask you a question? How can I be in service to you today? Or another question I'll ask is there anything I can do for you today? And they're like, what do you mean? Is there anything I can do for you? Anything right now you need or want and desire in your life? Anything I can do for you? I'm like, no, do you plan on taking a trip anywhere time soon? Do you plan on going anywhere? You know, watch a movie, going to go on a date night, do anything with your kids? Yeah, I plan on going on a trip here in 2 weeks. Oh, where are you going to go? I'm like, oh, good. I've never been there. I've been there. Or listen, you know what? I've got a great friend of mine. Love to introduce you to that person. Or you know what? I can make a recommendation of a restaurant or a great show to go see or a great spot to go hang out at. So always find a way to add value and be service. So how can I serve you? And anything I can do for you? That's the giving. Now, I allow myself to ask a second question, which is the receiving. Do you know anybody that could help me with blank? So like earlier today, I was on a call with a guy, and the guy said, hey, Darren, anything I asked him, I said, anything I can do for you today? He goes, Darren, man, no, everything's great, man. I've delegated everything out to my team today. I said, great. Can I ask you a question? Yeah, I'd like to make a request. Who do you know that can introduce me to so-and-so, this gentleman? And the guy goes, I don't know him directly, but I know a friend of mine through this mastermind that knows him. I said, great. What would it take for you to send this person a text message and make a request? And just a couple hours ago, I got the 3-way text message to this gentleman who's very influential in the San Francisco Bay Area, is a very successful ultra high net worth gentleman, very successful in business. So the thing is that it goes back to requests and promises. What are you requesting, right? Accept, decline, or counteroffer. What are your personal promises? What are your goals and dreams that you give word and committed to this year? Because any of your goals and dreams, remember, most of your goals and dreams don't require your actions. It's about making requests to other people and allowing yourself to be open to receiving. The reason why I've done all I've done, achieving the success I have and growing and scaling, I'm just getting started, because I am constantly serving people, loving people, man on a mission, asking, how can I serve you? Anything I can do for you? And then when people say, hey, Darren, what do you need? Hey, do you know anybody that wants to buy my new book? Do you know anybody that can recommend me this great place? Do you know anybody that can help me out with this? Do you know anybody that can help me with that? And then it allows to give and receive as a fair means of exchange. Otherwise, if you're always giving, and then all of a sudden it's like, man, and that's what I did for many years. I had a lot of social capital. I'm always helping everybody else out, but I couldn't pay my bills on time. I'm helping everybody else out, getting promotions, getting raises, things happening for them, going on dates. I'm thinking, man, I'm stuck right now and things aren't working for me. Why? Because I wasn't allowing myself to be receiving, because I didn't value myself. And so it was out of fair means of exchange. Okay. Another thing I do, and then we'll go into question and answer here, is multiple revenue streams. So I'm going to give you a gift tonight of how you can create another revenue stream, because I think you should have multiple revenue streams. I think I'm at 37 multiple revenue streams right now. Got to go to a couple hundred revenue streams, just multiple revenue streams, right? Passive and active streams of income, because you don't want to have you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I'm always focused on every month building a couple more revenue streams, and some dry up and some trickle and some sprinkle and some are waterfalls, right? They're all different streams. But here's what I want you to consider. Going forward here in 2022, I'm going to help you create another revenue stream for yourself. Every time you go to do something, You go to a Starbucks, a Tim Hortons, you go to a Vancouver Canucks hockey game, you're out and about in public, wherever it is, and you're with some other people or with somebody else, and they unexpectedly pay something for you. So I'll give you an example. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona right now for this week. 2 nights ago, I'm with a gentleman I just recently met. He wanted to go for dinner with me. I thought, great, I'll go for dinner with the guy. The guy's a CEO, runs a couple companies up in Los Angeles. So I met with the guy. And when the bill came, unexpectedly, he says, Darren, I'd like to pay for the bill. So why? He goes, man, I just so grateful for the honor to be with you tonight and learn some great things. Appreciate the collaboration. So I glanced at the bill and I realized what the bill was. When I left that evening, got back to the hotel, I went onto my mobile app of my online banking and I transferred that money from my savings account into my financial freedom account. So every time that you go to pay for a parking meter, if you go into a restaurant, you make a request, you get a discount, or you save money on something. Whenever you save money on something, or somebody unexpectedly buys something for you, or something unexpectedly gets paid, take that money that you were going to spend. So next time you go to Safeway or Whole Foods and you go to buy, like, oh my gosh, I just got $5 off of my groceries. Take that $5 and transfer it into your tax-free savings account. Take that $5 and transfer it into a checking or savings account and start to build up that money. Myself, when it gets to $10,000, then I take that $10,000 and I move that money into a stable income producing asset. So like imagine each dollar that you save is like a little baby fuzzy yellow chick. And your job is to grow those little yellow chicks. And so you grow them. And when you grow them up, the little chicks become chickens. The job is you want them then to lay more eggs, which is passive monthly recurring income. Right? So I work out of joy, not out of necessity. I wake up doing what I love to do because I used to trade time for money all the time. I could never get ahead. I was paycheck to paycheck. And I thought, I got to break out of this. I don't want this. I want to go out, be a man on a mission, serve lots and lots of people, make a huge difference in people's lives. I need to play a bigger game. So I got different mentors, different coaches, read different books, took different classes and courses, and trained my mindset to think differently. Here's something I want you to remember. We do not have money problems in life. We only have thinking problems. There's no lack of money in the world. It's a lack of thinking. Okay. Example of income producing assets. Good question. So income producing assets. So one could be real estate. It's universal. It's all over the world, real estate. So I invest in a lot of things. I invest in single family homes. Now, some people say, well, yeah, Darren, I don't have any money. Listen, when I got started, I didn't have any money either. That's why you use a thing called OPM, other people's money. See, you can have the idea, then you find a money partner. I have a call tomorrow with a gentleman who I'm looking at having him give me $10 million US. Yeah, I'm making a request for $10 million US. He's in New York. He's an ultra high net worth investor because I'm doing acquisitions right now. I'm buying companies right now. There's lots of opportunities right now to buy companies. Here's something I want you to think about. For those of you who have business, are going to get business. It's easier to acquire revenue than to create revenue. Doing a startup is high risk. Statistics show it. It's a high risk. It's a grind to get that growth. I'd rather buy a cash flow for doing business that's got monthly recurring revenue, buy that company with other people's money, and pay our investors double-digit returns of monthly. Like right now, one of our opportunities, I'm a partner in a national accounting firm called Profitopia, based in Tucson, Arizona, profitopia.com. And we're buying accounting firms right now. We're solving a big problem in America. I'll give you an example. So right now, between now and the year 2030, over 100,000 CPAs, chartered professional accountants, are going to retire in the United States of America. The average age of a CPA or accountant right now in the United States is 59 years of age. So these accountants, they don't like change. They're very linear in their thinking. So they need to have a transition plan and an exit strategy. So they've been building their accounting practice up for years or decades. We come in, make an offer 1.25 multiple on the business. We're buying the cash flow, buying the clients, buying the data. And then we merge it into Profitopia, grow and scale it. So we started Profitopia a year ago, did $1.8 million in revenue over the last 12 months. We'll take it to about between $5 and $6 million this year in revenue. And within 24 months, we'll be about $10 million. I'm really good at building multi-million-dollar companies. Now, how do I do it? I don't do it by myself. I build teams of people around me, like a sports team, who know their position and play their position. I'm good as the visionary. I hire integrators and people to work the day-to-day operations who are in their skill set and history careers that do well in what they do. They're in their genius. So I'm just really good at building teams and teamwork, and then find a chief or find a man or woman or a leader to lead that team and then report to me on a weekly basis. And then we have a team call. And that's what I do now. Now, I used to do everything all by myself, but I've grown up a little bit now in my life, And in my 40s, I realized, hey, I got to change up what I want to do. If I want to commit $100 million towards global philanthropy and serve humanity in a big way, then I need to get out of my way and not be the cog in the wheel and create teams and teamwork. Why? Because most of my goals and dreams don't require my actions. You can hire a virtual assistant in multiple different countries around the world for very few dollars. You can get intern students, you can get people apprentice with you, and they'll do work for you as work experience, and they can work on your goals and dreams. I delegate. I have 7,000 written goals. And every time I achieve a goal, I add a goal. And I'm always asking people, what are some of your goals and dreams? And so I get ideas and I write things down. I'm constantly writing down more and more goals. But I have 7,000 written goals in my life. So I'm a man on a mission to achieve things. Most people can't show me 10 goals. And I have over several years, I have a master plan for my life that I have my life plan to age 100. It's all mapped out. It's 563 pages. I spend 15 to 30 minutes a day working on it. Been doing it for over the last decade. And my mentor has a 1,000-year legacy plan, documented, based in Houston, Texas. I have another family that has 5 generations all planned out, right? 500-year legacy plan. Okay, so it's about thinking bigger, and when you think bigger, you're going to attract different people around you. So some of you want to play a bigger game in your life, and you're going to people, and you're trying to raise money, or you want to get a promotion or a job. Some of you right now in your job, you want to get a raise. The reason why you're not getting a raise, you're not providing more value, bringing more value to the marketplace. I have one of the guys that works with me. He's a chief revenue officer for one of my companies. And we're actually getting together tomorrow afternoon. We're going hiking for a couple hours. And he came to me recently and said, Darren, I need to make more money. I'm getting older. I got to take care of people. My kids are getting older, going to university. I need to make more money. I said, great. What are some opportunity zones right now? What are some things that you think that we as a company can make some additional revenue streams in the company? He's like, well, I don't know. I need to think about that. It's okay. How much time do you need? What's your timeline? He says, well, I need a week. Okay, great. So the other day I met with him here in Phoenix, Arizona. He sat down and he talked to me. He's like, I've got a couple ideas on what to do. I said, great. So let's unfold these ideas. Let's unpack them. Let's explore this. Let's write it out on paper so we can see things visually. And let's start to explore this. So tomorrow I actually have we're going hiking, but before that, I have a compensation call with him. Myself and a couple of my partners are on a call to offer him a new compensation package that's going to blow his mind away. He's going to be so thrilled and excited for what we're going to see in terms of showing him how much more income he can make in his life. Okay. One of the things also we do, and I'll go into question and answer in just a moment here, is one of the things we're starting to do this year in our company. So our companies is with our staff, because we've done surveys that our staff value their time. And a lot of times they work full hours. The average employee will work 2,000 hours a year with an employer, 2,000 hours a year. So we thought, what can we do so people can spend more time with their children? Because we want to create happy employees. When we create happy employees, you create happy families. Happy families create happy communities. So we want to create happy employees, happy families, happy communities. So we looked into it, and we realized the last few months that the average employee will cost us about $1,500 per year per employee to hire a professional housekeeping service to come in twice a month and clean the person's home. So we're starting to roll that out here over the next several weeks, with some of our staff in our different companies to actually have national or local accounting, or not accounting, local housekeeping services to come in and clean people's apartments or their homes. So they can free up time to do things at their hobbies or gym or with their kids or their families. So we create happy employees, happy families, happy communities. So just some things that you can do. And the investment is $1,500 an employee for the year. It's probably an 8 to 10x return on that. So, all right. Wow. I could go for hours. I'm having so much fun, but I know some of you got questions, and I've just bombarded you with a lot of information. Some of you have been taking notes. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go into a question and answer period, and I can answer some questions for people. Oh yeah. So what is OPM? Okay, here we go. OPM, first of all, is other people's money. So other people's money. So people who have money are always looking for ways to allocate money and deploy money to get money working for them safely, pending discovery process and due diligence. How do we prevent burnout and regain calmness while we problem solve operational issues? How do we burn out? Well, the key thing with that is, number one is you delegate responsibility and maintain control. So the key thing is, if you're getting close to burnout and you're dealing with operational stuff, you're not delegating enough or eliminating things or automating things enough. It's a key thing. I check in with my team members all the time. They're on day-to-day operations. I'm always asking them, how many things are you taking on? Right? Because I had one of my CEOs the other day came to me and said, Darren, I'm getting close to burnout. Okay, great. Let's pause for a moment. Let's look at what you're doing, what's in your weekly calendar, what's in your agenda, what's working, what's not working, and go through that. So I would reevaluate what you give your word to and what you give your time to. It's very, very important. And sit down and look at what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to. And you may want to start to say no to more things and not be the nice guy or the nice woman, but just say no to certain things. It's very important because the more things you take on, the more people like me, I love to delegate, right? Because I'm always delegating, but I learn now by people around me when my directs that report to me is that not to push too much stuff onto them, right? It's very important. And do things that you love to do, wherever you don't enjoy doing. If you can, delegate it, automate it, or eliminate it from your life. Very, very important.
That's
But
wonderful.
stop doing certain things.
We would love to give an opportunity to any students who are wanting to win books. I know a lot of them are asking. So I know that you had a few questions that you will ask, and the people that will be answering will be receiving a copy of your book.
Great. If time is a problem, buy other people's time. Absolutely. Here's something to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Successful people spend money to save time. Unsuccessful people waste time to save money. We don't have money problems in life, we only have thinking problems. There's no lack of money. If you want to make more money, just go serve more people. Find a way to solve people's problems. Turn people's crises into opportunities. When I was a kid, what did I do? I went and cut people. I walked around my neighborhood and saw people's grass. Their lawns were getting too high. And I knew they were working lots. So I'd go knock on their door, leave a note on their door. Hey, listen, can I cut your lawn? I knew people were going away on vacation. Hey, can I walk your dog? Can I collect your mail? Can I take care of your yard maintenance while you're gone on vacation? Look around. One of the fastest ways to make money is also look around your home, where you live, your environment, and look at what are things. So a lot of people buy liabilities. So they buy golf clubs and they buy, paddle boards and they buy things. They buy all these things. And it's just stuff. If I want to go paddle boarding, I'll go to Deep Cove in North Vancouver and I'll use a paddle board for a couple hours. I have friends of mine in Vancouver that have supercars, so I don't need to buy a supercar. I drive a 2015 Honda Civic. That's what I drive. Now, I just ordered a nice, beautiful luxury car that will be here in a few months, but I didn't pay for it. Okay, it's almost a $100,000 vehicle. I didn't pay for it. What I did is I went and created 3 other revenue streams and created a contingency plan of 6 months of liquid cash as a buffer, just in case. And I did this, and that was my commitment to Tatiana. I said, Tatiana, I want to get this vehicle. Just a game I'm playing, but I'm going to give myself 6 months to create 3 new additional revenue streams, passive recurring revenue streams. I don't know what they are right now, but give me some time to think about it. And I create those revenue streams, and now the cash flow is coming in and now pays for the vehicle, right? So if you want something, right, think about how can somebody else pay for it? You don't have to always pay for it. All you do is go solve a problem, right? You solve problems for me, I'll pay you for it. Like that's the key thing. The more successful somebody is, the more problems they need to solve, the more things they need to have people do things. I've got 7,000 goals I want to accomplish. So if I can have people help me achieve these goals, people say, what do you mean, how are you gonna help me achieve my goals? Well, there's certain things, logistics, planning, coordinating, right? Researching, connecting with people. There's all kinds of logistics involved. So you always think about a busy person, like a busy mother, try and solve their problems. Find a way to solve their problems. There's opportunities. When you watch the news, you see people complaining, look at those as opportunity zones. When you read negative things in the media, don't look at it as negativity, look at it as opportunity zones. Okay. I've always find it hard to find a mentor because a lot of people don't like to share or spend that time to teach or train others. What is your suggestions? First thing you want to do is write down what type of mentor you want. What I do is I build a thing called a life team. Okay. What a life team is, and in fact, I was just talking to my nephew earlier today in Kamloops about this. My nephew's in his 20s, lives in Kamloops, BC. And I was talking to my nephew about building a life team because he asked a similar question earlier today. He's like, oh, Darren, he goes, how do I find mentors? So here's the thing. When the student is ready, the teachers appear. When the student is ready, the teachers appear. So what you want to do is think about what mentor do you want? So what I do is I look at where do I want to see my life in 2 years from now, 24 months, 730 days. It's not much time, right? I look at where do I see my life in 24 months from now, right? And then what I do is I want to get around those people who are living the ideal lifestyle that I want to achieve. So last year in 2021, I released 32 pounds of weight by hiking in the North Shore Mountains, North and West Vancouver, right? Because I joined a couple hiking groups on the North Shore Mountains. And so I released 32 pounds of weight by getting around people because the gyms were closed because of COVID-19. So I wanted to release weight. So I got outdoors exercising. It's free. in North Vancouver, West Vancouver. So whatever you want, if it's health, it's relationships, it's spirituality, it's financial, it's emotional, it's mental toughness, it's mindset, whatever it is in terms of a mentor, personally, professionally, write it down. What is it you want? What would you seek in a mentor? What were some questions you'd ask in a mentor? And then when you're ready, that teachers will appear in your life, but be prepared. Okay. Always write the same thing with relationships. Write down the ideal person that you want in your life, that man or woman, significant other, write him or her down of the type of person you want. Now, you got to also understand too, there's benefits and drawbacks. Okay. That person's going to have there's the hero and the villain. Every human being has the hero side and the villain. Hero and villain. There's times where, you're the bitch and you're the hero. So realize everybody plays hero and villain. You don't want to look at somebody as like all the pluses. You want to look at both sides, hero and villain. Everything has support and challenge, right? So in my life, like because I've got lots of things going on throughout my day, I have crises, I have opportunities, crisis, opportunity, crisis, opportunity. That's my day. A lot of times I'm on a call dealing with a crisis. Okay, now we're dealing with an opportunity. Now we're dealing with a win. Now we're dealing with a challenge. Now we're dealing with a problem. Now we're dealing with a win. And I just manage that. Okay. But here's the key thing. One of the things I want you to consider. I don't manage. In our group of companies, what Tetian and I do, we manage people's promises, not people. We manage what people give their word to, because their word is powerful and their word is integrity. Without integrity, nothing works. So we don't manage the individual, the human being. We manage what their promises. So when I have to talk to somebody, like tomorrow I have a call with somebody who's been showing up late to some of our Zoom video calls for our briefings. I'm going to phone the person up and everything's recorded. And I'm going to say, listen, you gave your word when you first started working with us that you'd be early and on time and in place. And that's something you want to level up and step up in your coaching to be that person. Did you know the last 3 times you've showed up late to all of our Zoom calls? So what's in the way of your commitment right now? What's not working right now? Do you need to set an alarm on your mobile phone when your alarm goes off a couple of minutes early so you get onto the call on time? Is there distractions in your environment? What's going on? Because right now your word has no power. And people right now are thinking you're unreliable. And I don't want to write you up or dismiss you or have to go through a termination process with you. So how do we work this out? Okay, very, very important. All right. What if money is the problem and time is also a problem? What can we do to fix it? Time and money are not the problem. You're the problem. You're the problem. There's no shortage of money. I can spend 15 minutes with you and show you that everybody has 24 hours in a day, and there's an abundance of financial wealth. I could go into your neighborhood and look around your neighborhood. I don't care if you live in an apartment building. I don't care if you live in the slums. I don't care if you live in a trip. Listen, I have a school in one of the poorest countries on planet Earth. And this school is one of the poorest countries. And we're actually building in the near future, we're going to build a way to actually take plastic and weigh it and actually make money off it. We're taking people and some of the poorest people on planet Earth, okay, top 5 poorest countries on the planet, and we're showing them how to do economic development and create opportunities where they can make a few dollars a day to take care of their families. So if I can take some people in the poorest countries on planet Earth and show them, and you live in a first world country, no problem. There's no money problems. There's just thinking problems. There's no money problems. It's thinking problems. And it's also your environment. One of the reasons why I was financially broke years ago is my 4 friends were all broke, and I was the 5th person. If you hang out with 4 broke friends, you'll become the 5th. You change your friends, you will change your environment, you will change your bank accounts. I hang out with people who are a lot wealthier than me. I hang out with people who are more generous than me. I hang out with people who are more healthier than me. I hang out with people who are have more vitality than me. I hang out with people who are older than me. Some people I hang out with in their 90s, because you hang out with people who are older than you for wisdom, and you hang out with people that are younger than you for energy. So you just got to change your environment. You got to change it. The people you're hanging out with are not challenging, not supportive. If you're around me, you'd have your money right in a very short period of time, or you wouldn't be around me. Because I've taken a lot of people and helped them become millionaires and multimillionaires over the years. Now, there's discipline, there's focus, there's no guarantee. But if you follow daily habits and daily routines, we work on your mindset, your values, and your beliefs, and how you go out there and serve people, and you get your life restored with integrity. If money's a problem right now, there's areas of your life that you're out of integrity. And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, what's your credit score? You should be able to tell me right now what your credit score is. Okay. If you don't know, you're not intimate with your finances. Do you pay your bills on time? Are they automated? Do you know what you pay, what your interest rates are? Do you know what your fees are? Okay. Do you have a monthly financial meeting? Do you sit down and actually review your finances? Do you know what you spend every month? How intimate are you with your finances? Because how intimate you are with your finances will determine your financial net worth. Okay. I'll share something with you. Years ago, when I made my first $1 million, I was so excited. And one of my mentors lived in the United States, and he was flying into Vancouver in a couple of weeks. So I called my mentor. I said, I'm so excited. I'm worth $1.3 million at the time. I was so excited. I did it. And it was never about the money. I just wanted to become a millionaire. Right. And so my mentor says, okay, when I fly into Vancouver, before I do, I want you to call up your accountant. I want you to get a certified personal financial net worth statement. I'm like, well, what do you mean? How do I do that? He goes, call up your accountant. So you need a personal financial net worth statement that's certified, boom, letterhead by the CPA. So I'm like, okay, I guess I got to pay for that. So I do that. Go sit down with my mentor. I sit down with him, and at lunch, or no, dinner, we're sitting downtown Vancouver on Burrard Street having sushi. He reviews my personal financial net worth statement. He looks at me. He goes, congratulations, Darren. Shakes my hand, and he goes, but you're flat broke. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a millionaire. And he goes, you're a millionaire, right? He goes, on paper, you're a millionaire. He goes, let me ask you a question, Darren. It's a yes or no answer. He goes, you got an ATM card on you right now? I said, yep. He said, see that ATM machine over there? Yep. Can you walk over there right now and take out $2,000 cash if the machine will allow you? Yes or no? I'm like, no. He said, can you walk over to the ATM machine right now and take out $1,000? Yes or no? I said, no. He goes, can you walk over to the ATM machine right now and take out $500? I said, no. He goes, how much money can you walk over to the ATM machine right now, take the money out of the ATM machine, come over here and put it on the table right in front of me and verify it? I said, maybe about $200, $220, $240 Canadian. He goes, you're flat broke. I said, well, okay. He goes, Darren, always remember this. He holds up my financial net worth statement. He goes, Darren, you cannot eat your financial net worth. You can only eat cash flow. That's why you create multiple revenue streams. COVID, the last 2 years, has been some of the greatest years of my life financially, because in 2008 and 2009, I got spanked and almost went bankrupt. I got hurt really bad in 2008 and 2009 financially. And I was living in San Francisco, California, and I said to myself, okay, within 8 to 10 years, there'll be another economic turnaround. I said, I'm going to make sure that I'm liquid with cash, and I've got cash reserves, and I've got contingency funds, at least 1 to 2 years of liquid cash for all my group of companies and all my expenses, which I do to this day. I have we're well over a year of liquid cash for everything. And when things happened, we were liquid with a lot of cash, and friends around me were liquid with a lot of cash, and we started buying companies. We started buying opportunities to save people's jobs, but buying opportunities, buying real estate in the United States, in different places. And we started doing that, right? Because remember, I'm not working for me. I'm working for global philanthropy to build a foundation right now. I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by serving people and making a contribution and making a difference in the world. What excites me is helping to prevent little innocent children from being child and human sex trafficked. When you go to a little village and you see little kids being human trafficked, which I've witnessed in my life, I've seen it. I've seen little girls for 7 years of age being sold for $1 for turning tricks sexually on the street. I've witnessed it in front of me. And I was told by our security detail not to do anything because we wouldn't be able to leave the country alive. And when you see that, and you see these child predators taking advantage of innocent little people, it just irks inside of you. So I'll build wealth and I may not be able to stop these people, but I'll put speed bumps in the way, and I'll make your life an obstacle course to try and get these kids. I'll make your life an obstacle course, because I'm gonna put a lot of speed bumps in the way to slow you down. I may not stop you, but I'll slow you down. That's why I'm also involved in cybersecurity, and why I'm involved in artificial intelligence. Okay.